We should be good this time. We should be good this time around. Something caught the volume. This freaking headset. I forgot to turn it off. So let's talk about union trucking. Okay. So we're going to focus particularly on this company called ABF Freight. They're similar to UPS, but definitely not as big as UPS. But they're similar to UPS as far as like the union structure of this, the whole seniority aspect and the whole. What are you doing? Oh, you're on the phone? Okay. Um, like the pay structure is similar to UPS. They make a lot of money, right? All the trimmings are there, but there's something that people don't talk about, all right? Like I've searched up this company and I've heard a lot of positive things about it, but there's something that's not being talked about, okay? So I've been applying for ABF Freight for the past few years, really for the past like 2.5 to 3 years. I've been applying in my market from, their Stockton yard to good morning to the Oakland yard, right? On ABF Freight's website, I constantly see them hiring in the Stockton 209 area, and I also see them hiring a lot in the Oakland East Bay area. And I'm in between those two places. And I've been applying for years, and I have all of their requirements, all of the endorsements, everything. As far as I know, they're an automatic fleet, like an automatic transmission fleet. I got the hazmat, I got all the endorsements, the clean driving record, years in, nothing. But they keep saying that they're hiring. All right. So union jobs are good. They are. Okay. The pension system is really good. The company paid health care is really good. The benefits that you get with going union is really good. But we all know that union jobs are really hard to get into. And our industry in trucking is changing. So let's talk about why I think ABF Freight, they say that they're hiring when they're really not hiring. Uh, in my area, this is the case, right? Um, a lot of this has to do with layoff seasons. This is something that I don't hear being spoken about too much um, from a lot of these videos that I see of like you type in whatever company you want to go work for and you just type in review, right? Or what it's like to drive for CR England, JB Hunt, or whoever ABF Freight, right, on YouTube. This is what we do to search up companies. Um, and no one's really like talking about these layoffs like that. Besides this Army vet truck driver, um, he actually left ABF Freight because of these layoffs. He was working one day out of the month in the Texas, Dallas, Fort Worth area for ABF Freight. Okay. But at the same time, they have this really inclusive pay structure, right? They get hourly pay, they get all of this like stop pay, and um, like they have a really inclusive pay package, and their cents per mile is really high. It's like probably some of the highest CPM in the industry. So I typed into Google, will ABF Freight lay off drivers in the future? Okay, because they're definitely not hiring in my area, and this is what I get on Google. I get, yes, ABF Freight has had layoffs and will likely continue to have them in the future. All right. So here's the thing: if a company is having layoffs, why would they hire, especially if they're union? Okay. They fought tough to get UPS drivers better pay, and now they shut down a large percentage of operations, and a lot of drivers had to find new jobs. Well, yeah. Good morning, Million. Let me get a little stable right here. So, why are they having these layoffs? Well, they run LTL freight. LTL freight, for the most part, is direct customer freight. All right. Meaning that you're not really going to places like a cold storage facility. Like I've been running reefer pretty much the entire time I've been in trucking. I did dry van for a little bit, but I'm back to reefer. I started doing reefer. So what I mean by direct customer freight is you're not going to somewhere like, from warehouse to warehouse. You know what I'm saying? Like you're not going to US cold storage and delivering to a Walmart distribution center, right? And you're acting like, well, you are the third party that's delivering this order that Walmart placed from the US cold storage, and you're the driver delivering that order. Um, no, no, your LTL is less than truckload. And pretty much what that means is on these trailers, you could have like various customers' freight on there. You could have a couch in the back of that trailer. You could have um uh, why can't I talk, dude? I'm like really tired right now. So I got a lot of brain fog going on. You could have a couch, a fridge, a stove, right? A, a pallet of car parts, you know what I'm saying? And in the final mile of these LTL runs at these LTL companies, right? Once it gets sorted out between the shipper, which is XPO, ABF Freight, what used to be USF Redaway or whatever, like these LTL companies, right? They pretty much deliver pallet per pallet. The final mile are the local city drivers that literally go out there. I've seen these dudes from XPO and what like Old Dominion and stuff. The guys that do like these local city runs, it's hard work, dude. I saw a guy on McHenry and Modesto, right by the Toyota dealership. I had to go in there to get a new battery for my key for my car, right? I had to go get the key replaced, and I saw someone from XPO unloading a big ass refrigerator with a pallet jack, with a manual pallet jack. You know what I'm saying? With something that you would operate in a warehouse. And he had to haul this from the street into the dealership right next door to the Toyota dealership. A brand new refrigerator for the break room. And that was one of his stops. And it was hot, dude. It was in the middle of summer when I saw that. I was looking at this dude, and with this pallet jack, he had in the driveway, there's that little lip on the bottom curve of the driveway. And now just imagine you're hauling a refrigerator, yeah, with a pallet jack, dude. You would think that would be done with the dolly, but this dude had a pallet jack and he was getting stuck on the curb of that sidewalk. Well, not the sidewalk, of the driveway, and he had to like pull this into the dealership. That's LTL city driving. It's hard work. So obviously the economy's not doing too good right now, and that has to do with it. But what I think is going on too is when Yellow went under, ABF Freight and a lot of these LTL companies, but specifically ABF Freight, took a lot of these guys in because they were a part of the same pension system. And it's supply and demand in trucking, especially in an unstable environment like LTL. LTL freight is not as stable as truckload freight, as a full truckload. Truckload freight, it's pretty consistent, even in a bad economy, especially if you're running something like reefer. People never stop eating. You know what I mean? But if the economy slows down, people are going to think twice before they buy a new stove, before they go buy a car and they need car parts or a refrigerator or a couch or whatever, dude. Um, so if you hire all these drivers from Yellow, one of the biggest LTL companies that went out of business, what's that going to do? Especially in a system like ABF Freight in a union job where you have this seniority structure, you bring in all these drivers, the work is going to dry up. Now, and this is why you have some of these LTL drivers at places like ABF Freight that are getting laid off. And if they do work, sometimes it's only 2 days out of the week. So, why I said you should watch this before you go union is this. I understand why people want to go union. The benefits, the pension, the higher pay. I get it. I totally get it. Look, like I'm the I'm the I'm calling the kettle black or whatever that. Now I'm the pot calling the kettle black because I've been applying for these union jobs, not just ABF Freight, but Pepsi, food service. It's hard to get in out here in my market. But here's the thing: How good is the pay structure and the benefits if you're only working 2 days out of the week? And this is going on for years and years and years until you get to the top of the seniority structure to where you get a set route and you're getting the hours that you need. Like you're finally getting full time hours on a consistent basis. I understand there's busy times of the year where you're going to be working more frequently. But dude, at my job, yeah, I get paid less than someone at an ABF freight or a UPS, but this less pay is consistent. It's consistent throughout the year. Like sometimes on my day off, they're asking me to go into work, right? So it's like, dude, this is something you have to think about. If you're going to go union, because here's the thing about going union. Even in the about 2 months ago, like 2.5 months ago now, I was on workman's comp for about a month. I was on this stupid shit, right? And I was on a light duty position and I was working with a guy from that, or that once was with the International Brotherhood of Electrical Workers out of the Livermore office. You know what I'm saying? Like out of the Livermore Union Hall. And this dude lived in Riverbank in the 209 Central Valley. Okay. And he got laid off, and he was laid off for almost 2 years. And for these 2 years, every morning, because he was in the union and he was paying dues into this union, right? For 2 years, he had to drive from Riverbank, which is a small town just outside of Modesto. He had to drive pretty much from farther than Modesto into Livermore in the morning commute every morning to go check into the union hall to see if they had a job, almost like a temp agency. You have to, and it's so stupid. It's like, dude, I asked him, I was like, fool, like, what are you doing going to a union hall? You live in Riverbank. Why don't you just call in? Like, why do you ask? And he was like, no, 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 no. The union rules are that you have to show up to the union hall and check in, because if they have an assignment for you to go to, I don't know. The way it's set up, like he literally had to drive into the union hall every morning to check in to see. It's like, dude, I didn't even have to do that when I was on probation. I only checked in like a few times. You had to check in every fucking morning, dude. And it went on for 2 years and he wasn't getting paid. He was not getting paid. So he was spending money on maintenance, on gas to drive from the Central Valley into the well, he wasn't driving deep into the Bay Area. He was just going right over the Altamont to the bottom of the hill to Livermore, Pleasanton, to check in, not getting paid. And then he had to turn around and drive back. So what he was doing during these 2 years was building up his own electrician business, and he just went into business for himself because the union pretty much dried up, right? And that was like a year before he ended up on workman's comp or whatever. So, so he ended up going into business for himself. Then he ended up working for another contractor, and pretty much like he ended up going non-union because the union dried up. And if you're going to go into a union job, and because the pay structure is set up so much better than at a conventional mega carrier, this is something that you need to really be aware of, that you could be at a union job in trucking and just get laid off, right? And you're not getting paid. So how good is the pay structure and the benefits if you're getting laid off, and this is going on for the next 5, 6, 10 years, as you're building up your seniority, and then once you get to like your eighth, 10th, or 12th year, then you're finally working consistently. When someone at a mega carrier has just been working and stacking up this paper consistently without a layoff season, you know? Because here's the thing, right? There's a Reddit thread of ABF Freight specifically about the layoffs, all right? Let me see what you guys are talking about. There's a lot to get to. Um, Good morning, Andrew. ABF was hiring in Fontana, but they be laying people off. And in this economy, no way. Yeah. My best friend's working at UPS. He's a feeder, 36 years. He won't even help get me on because it's so bad there, he said. You would be miserable. I've heard that about UPS, that the job actually sucks, right? I've heard that. In SoCal, there's a lot of LTL jobs, but some are union and you're not guaranteed employment when it's slow. I think that's not just union. I think that's because LTL, their freight it's not truckload freight, right? So it's not as consistent as truckload freight. So I think because when it comes to layoffs in trucking, I only hear about that with LTL. I don't hear about it with food service because food service comes from truckload freight. Like these owner operators and company drivers, they deliver loads to U.S. Foods and Cisco, so it's truckload freight, right? So if you're gonna go union, go food service. I wouldn't be going into union LTL. Honestly, if I was gonna go union, you would be better off going into Cisco, right? I don't really hear about people at Cisco or US Foods or a food service job, especially if it's union. I don't hear about union food service or beverage workers at Pepsi or US Foods or 7 Up talking about a layoff season. I just don't hear about that. I hear about them getting fucked up routes for a few years until they get a set route with their seniority. But in LTL, I hear about this layoff stuff, this layoff season. Why can't I talk, dude? I'm so tired right now. I got to go to bed. I got a lot of brain fog right now. I've been on the road, dude. I'm just trying to bust this out because I want the information to get out there real quick. But I don't hear about layoff season in food service. I hear about it a lot with LTL. I mean, look at this. Someone is saying ABF layoffs question mark at an interview with ABF tomorrow. Heard a little about a layoff. Anyone gotten the info? Is it common? Is it a common thing? Is it a seasonal thing? All this layoff talk is making me nervous. I just started an LTL job. Let me see. Reunion. UPS is laying off 20,000 people. They're talking about UPS. I mean, the union can't stop a company from going under, but ABF is extremely conservatively run as a business. They don't do stupid shit and chase short-term games. Let me see. Free range to fire. Even most unions give employers free range to fire someone during the provisional period, so you probably have to make it 3 months before you have any real protections. Let me see. This must be a different thread. Yeah, because I was reading this thread, or no, maybe it wasn't that Reddit thread. Glassdoor. Yeah, I think this is where I read it on. I was reading these reviews of ABF, and yeah, here it is on Glassdoor. So we have Glassdoor. I dropped my phone, bro. So we have Glassdoor ABF Freight driver reviews. Okay, ABF laid off again. Driver ABF Freight employee review. Pros: great pay when and if you can work. So here's the thing, okay, about getting into trucking. We're adults. We got bills and shit. That's like one reason why it doesn't seem like it's job stability if you're constantly getting laid off like that. Like if getting laid off is a part of the job, that lowers the pay. All of a sudden, you're not making 100,000, right? You're making less than that. If layoff season is, it sounds like it's something that happens almost like every year, right? Your bills don't stop when you get laid off. You still need to pay your bills, you know? Getting laid off all the time when you come back to work. That's a con. Damn. Okay, so let's see some of these reviews. Great company. Let's see. Lower level management sucks. Unfortunately, leadership at the terminal level is okay. So yeah, people are saying that there's layoffs, right? Working at ABF Freight. Like, I'm sure it's a great company, and I'm sure, the union has done a lot of good for the drivers. But all I'm talking about, all you need to be aware of when going union are the layoffs. Okay, truckload companies don't have layoffs. What is the best part about working at the company? The union, competitive pay, solid benefits. Yeah, layoffs, great pay, great place to work with the benefits. But unfortunately, layoffs are very common here. Not terrible, but union politics, great pay, great work life balance, um, slow moving management, and a lot of union politics. For me, it was a headache, but not all bad. Union politics and layoffs. Yeah, dude. So when it's good, it's good. So here's the thing. This is all I'm saying. I'm gonna read these comments and I gotta get the fuck out of here, bro. I'm like so tired right now. Um, this is pretty much what I'm talking about. Okay. If you're going to go union, you have to ask yourself, can you afford to be laid off more than once? If you're going to stay at a union job throughout your career, can you afford to deal with layoffs for the first 10 years as you're building up your seniority? If you're going into Cisco or US Foods, you don't really need to worry about that. But if you're going into like UPS or ABF Freight, these two companies and other, if there's any other LTL companies like them, dude, like those two companies, they have a reputation of laying off their workers. So you get this big inclusive package when you get hired, but then you get laid off. And that happens as you're building your seniority. Me, I can't afford that shit. I don't even have any bills and I just can't afford to like not be working, you know? So if that's what it takes to build up the seniority, is to deal with layoffs, if not every year, even if it's once every 3 years, dude. Just imagine how damaging that would be if you're making all this money. So you're in this inclusive pay package where you're making all of this money, right? And then 3 years into it or 2 years into it, you've because of this money, you probably built yourself a life. You probably got yourself an apartment, maybe you even bought a house, you got a car, right? And you're paying your bills with this money, and then you get laid off. Can you afford that? That's what I'm talking about. Me, honestly, no. Honestly, I probably won't be applying for them anymore. If that's what comes with the job, are these layoffs, and it's common like that to where people are talking about it online. I don't, like I said, I don't really hear about it on YouTube outside of Army Vet Trucker, but I see a lot about it in the company reviews. See, only need 8 months experience. Florida man's always talking about this job that he has, but he never wants to say what it is. Let me know. Yeah, see, he's talking about this job, but he never wants to say what it is. And if it's out of Chicago, you probably shouldn't trust it. If I can't get into Walmart in a year and a half, I'll most likely go to US Foods or Cisco. My schedule is already nights and I'm used to it. Yeah, if you could get in, ABF always being fired. Well, they don't fire you. I mean, it's union, so what it is, it's like it's the same thing that the electrician guy that I was working with at this light duty position was going through. You're laid off. You're not fired, you're just laid off, you know? And I asked this dude, I don't know, if you could collect unemployment during the layoff, I guess that would be kind of worth it. It still sucks. Collecting unemployment sucks, dude. I collect pretty much, that's pretty much what you get on workman's comp, you know? It's, what was it, like 75% or a percentage of your pay? It's nothing. And you got to wait for it and shit. Dude, you got to be working. right? What's your email? And I'll send a pay stub. Why don't you just tell all of these fine people in the chat, oh, Vista Trans Holding. There you go. Thanks for finally telling us. Yeah. I'll check out the company, Vista Trans Holding. A lot of people sleep on Amazon Logistics, not the freight partners. It's guaranteed 40 hours benefits, 40 hours plus benefits. It's guaranteed 40 hours. Benefits are good, are really good, and you can get another job while working there, and you can make 80K plus. How could you get another job? I don't get it. Why? Because is it like part-time work or something? Well, 40 hours is part-time work in trucking. Illinois, Chicago, they have over 600 trucks. It's not a small rip-off company. Vista Trans Holding. A lot of people sleep on Amazon. So, yeah, I got to go. Just ask yourself that. Before you go union, you need to know that union jobs come with layoffs, and only you could answer the question if you could afford these layoffs or not. If you could afford being laid off all the time, go for it, you know? But if you're older and you have bills and shit, I don't know how you could afford to get laid off all the time like that. Just like trying to build some seniority when you could go to a mega carrier like this one or a night transportation, get an assigned truck and just do your thing and just get out there and start hustling, you know? There's guys right here at this company that I know who are cracking. Last year I saw someone, or no, what was that? Yeah, this past summer, what was that? Yeah, this past summer, a driver showed me his, his pay in his app for last year, and he made 128,000, and he took almost a month off of work right here at a mega carrier. Sure, our benefits are not going to be as good as the union, but there's money to be made, and there's no layoff season. So you see what I mean, dude? It's like, do you make the 150,000? You know, but like I said, dude, if you're getting laid off, that's not 150,000, and it depends on how long are you laid off? Are you laid off for a month, 6 months? You know, or do you just go to a mega carrier like JB Hunt or CR England, and there's no layoff seasons, and yeah, the benefits aren't all that. You know what I mean? Like, there's benefits here, nothing like a union job. Obviously, there's no paid health care, there's no pension, but you can consistently make your money. In a sense, there's more job security a lot of the times with non-union truckload companies than there is union LTL. Union food service, you're probably better off. Like, that's probably like one of the better jobs in trucking is union food service. But then again, you have to be aware that at the end of your career, you're definitely going to have problems physically. You're going to have back problems. You're going to have muscle cramps. You're going to have problems with your disc and all that. And, you're going to turn into an old man fast, running around doing food service all your life. Be sure to smash the like button on this video. Subscribe to the channel. If you're going to go union, you need to be aware of these layoffs, right? And, yeah, what are you guys talking about before I leave? Only 40 hours. You still have the rest of your 70. Being union is like serving a prison sentence. I would never subject myself to that. I want my freedom as an owner-operator. Oh, well, yeah, that too. I mean, here's the thing about a union to an owner-operator. Those are two very different individuals, okay? So if you're union, not only are you company driver, but you're a union company driver. That's a very different mindset. That's a job security mindset. And an owner operator is an entrepreneur. An owner operator is a business owner. Is a real go getter. Someone that like goes out and like does their own thing. You know what I mean? And just kind of risks it all. Fuck, that was a tongue twister. Someone who just puts it all on the line, right, to where they can go out of business. Dude, I was in Reno at Boomtown in June, and I met an owner operator who said he was at $268,000, right? For what he was taking in at that time in June. And all he had was a dry van. This fool wanted me to bobtail, like to unhook from my trailer, pick up his trailer and finish his load full of batteries into Reno. I was like, oh, you crazy as hell. I ain't doing that. You know what I mean? Of course, I ain't doing no crazy shit like that, right? But, I got to talking. He told me he's making all this money, but he also told me the 2 years before that, the year before that, he only made 150,000, and the year before that, he went negative. He went into the negative. So this was a good year for him, but he's kind of making up for lost time, right? So yeah, owner operator to union, those are two very different individuals. But if you're thinking about going union, go food service. If you're gonna go union LTL, I don't know. Peace out. I gotta go to bed, dude. I'm like tired, bro. I'm hella tired. See ya. Gotta go.